Hey guys, this is Jason Long with Long Talk's video podcast, and we got the honor of having with us this afternoon Kris Honel, who was drafted by the Chicago White Sox in 2001 draft, and we're going to get a real cool vision of an athlete's dream and how it became a reality. So Kris, thanks again for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me over, man.
All right, so welcome to the show, first of all. And we're going to go through and kind of do a little timeline from the beginning from your first memory to getting drafted, which was the kind of the final piece to the puzzle. So kind of give us a quick brief background of your backstory, and we'll kind of plug it in from there.
My dad was a Eastern Illinois' first team All-American back in the 70s before they had me. When I say they, my mom and dad graduated. They both got their degrees, became teachers. They moved to Clifton, and they both got their teaching starts at Clifton Central. And my dad was a head wrestling coach. Was coaching baseball, doing driver's ed, PE. My mom was doing art. And they ended up going to Bishop Mac after a few years and came back. And I basically, started just being raised around Bishop Mac's campus. I'd either be at wrestling practice, baseball practice, just on a field, constantly doing stuff. So that's basically kind of where it started with that. As a young little boy, just kind of running around Bishop Mac, following my dad everywhere I went, always being around older guys, they took to me, and guys around the area, I still see around the area, they're like, man, you're like 6, 7 years old in that field, just doing things we couldn't believe we were seeing. I was just a young little boy, didn't even know what I was doing yet, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Yeah, so that's where it kind of started right there. So
how old were you then?
82. Obviously, I was 82, baby. I was probably about anywhere from 5 to 8, 9 years old.
Okay, so you were
before my dad left to
young.
go to Lincoln Way, like we were saying before the show.
Okay. At what point did you know? And we'll be jumping around, but at what point did you not being cocky or anything, but know that you had something special?
I was probably about 8 years old.
About 8 years old?
Yeah, because back then, Little League around here was 9 to 12 years old.
Right.
It wasn't no 9 to 12. I was playing against dudes that were going to 7th grade as a 9-year-old. And I wasn't close to hitting puberty yet, or hit my growth spurts or nothing. And I'm out there on the mound. It was a pretty big deal in Bourbonnais back then. People showed up to them games.
Oh yeah,
serious around here.
That was before travel ball got real big. Yep.
My buddies Luke Barrett and Ron Jones, they went to all the way to the stage for the Little League World Series back when. But I didn't play Little League around here, so I always kind of told them, "You're looking, stay around here. You probably wouldn't have went that far around here, make it out." But I always bust their balls.
Right. No. Hey,
no, they did pretty good. So no, it was really competitive around here. But I got out of here probably about when I was 10 years old. My dad. And I made a decision to start playing travel ball and take it more serious because, to be honest, I kind of hurt a couple kids in practice because I knew I was doing so well and I was throwing so hard, and kids were still kind of like learning how to catch. And I'd be hitting them right in the face, or hitting them in the shoulder, and they'd be done. It was tough. So my dad knew early I needed to be around older competition. Kind of.
So you think travel ball helped you then?
Absolutely.
Really?
I mean, that was basically. We didn't take vacations as a family. We took baseball vacations. That's what we did. Who'd you play for? My first travel team was the New Lenox Marlins. I played for them for a year. Then I started playing for this team called the Oak Forest Renegades up in Oak Forest. That's where we started playing like 90 to 100 games a summer.
Okay.
We had guys from all over the Southland area playing on the team. We used to bring guys in from Crown Point as ringers. People didn't know back in those days because that's really when travel ball was really, really good and competitive.
Right.
Because there was only like 25 to 30 teams in the whole state, and they're all stacked. So my team literally we'd play up division just to find games. So we'd be playing against a team that was a year older than us, a year more mature than us.
Right.
We'd still be mollywopping them, and that's when we knew we were really good because we had like 8 guys get drafted off my team, off the Oak Forest Renegades, and the Mount Greenwood Brewers.
So that's the thing, is just finding the right team for the fit. I mean, not everyone's gonna have the same experience, but right. Where were you, or bring me back to when you got the call that you were drafted? Like, I know it's got to be vivid right in your head.
It's so vivid. It's probably something I'll never forget. But it's just I kind of took the fun out of it for myself because I knew I was gonna be a first rounder. Like I knew, what I'm saying. Like I just knew I was just waiting to see what pick.
Right.
So it was that like apparent from my junior year on, because it's like, okay, I just need to stay healthy and stay consistent, and it's going to happen, you know, because it wasn't just me thinking that at that point. It was everyone around me. Scott Boros was flying in to see me here in Birmingham. You know, people were taking me out to dinner, like, my phone's off. My parents had to change our phone number, or we didn't change our phone number, but we had to take our number out of the book, and, you know, caller ID back then was
now,
big.
Scott Boros, the same
stuff.
Michael Jordan's...
Well, he's the super agent in baseball.
Right. Okay, I'm sure. I know the name. Okay.
But no, so it's just scouts started coming to your house and kind of just reassuring you, and it just, it was interesting because you don't want to think about it too much, but when that call came, it was just like so shocking to me, but I internalized it all. That was from the White Sox. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I thought I was going to go number 7 to the Royals that year, which they literally were all over me. I thought they were for sure going to take me. And it kind of pissed me off that they didn't, but ended up working out how it did, you know. So.
Right.
Can't really complain about
What
it.
is your first, and I know we kind of talked about it, but your first memory of playing baseball, or like for example, my oldest boy, I remember my first memory of playing ball with him, even though I probably played a couple years before, is he had a wooden bat from when he was born.
Yeah. And
I just happened to throw him his first hard ball, and he hit it and snapped the little bat in half. What's your first memory of playing baseball?
Shoot, probably just something to do with my dad, somewhere with a bucket of balls on a field where no one's at, just me and him. Staying after practices with him, you know, when everyone would leave, we'd be out there for an extra hour, you know, till the sun went down, you know, over these practice fields at Bishop Mac and whatnot, or just any field we could find, you know, that was within range. That, you know, as I started growing as a, you know, young man, like we'd start getting to bigger fields to see what I could do more, you know, because I started obviously taking balls out of certain fields where I needed to be moved up a little bit, because it was not really fun anymore for me.
So what happened as far as why you're still not playing? What ended up happening?
And I tell people all the time, because it's just like I've never been really, like, I basically left on my own terms. Like, it's like I got cut till I couldn't get told I could play anymore. Or, like, no one told me that. It was just I made a decision, kind of just come back, you know, just kind of take a break from it all, because it was so much. And people don't really get the grind that you have to go through as a person, like as a young man. Just doing a normal process, going to college, hey, going to summer parties all summer, graduation, having your parents drive you to school, drop you off, hey, anytime, you know, you come here, you know, you're within reach of so many people unless you got a state, you know, and it's just going from high school, graduating one day, next day getting drafted, 2 weeks later on a plane with $1.5 million behind your name, and it's legit, you know, like there's nothing, you know, that you can compare to. There's no instruction manual with it, you know, so it's just like, for me, you know, I had my ups and downs. I had my, you know, highs, my lows throughout my career. And it's just, I knew it was time for me to just come home and just kind of see, you know, what else is out there for me to explore and do. You know, I started getting older, you know, started thinking, do I want a family? Do I want to settle down? Do I, you know, what areas of life do I want to get back into that I might be missing through this journey that's seriously so tedious, you know? So coming back here, my family's back here. I love growing up here. I had a great upbringing up, you know, background here. There's, you know, it's a small town atmosphere, but at the same time, like, it's always home to me. I love being outside. It's interesting, you know, because I fish all day.
Oh, don't get on me about fishing, man. Don't get on me about that. So it's like, and that was kind of leading to the next question as far as how hard it is to say, okay, I got to go get a job.
Oh, it's the worst.
I mean,
it's the worst. I tell people, I mean, there's studies done. Like, it's the same thing coming out of the military. I mean, when you play as long as I did for 12 years, and that's your life, that's your whole dream, that's everything you dreamed of, it's all you thought of, that's all you try, you know, you wake up, walk, sleep, everything. It's just a whole pattern of life that not many people understand, and that's okay. You know, you can only hope that they ask enough or take enough inquiry to find out, you know, what it was like somewhat to understand. Because everyone thinks that it's easy to think, like, oh, it must be so. It's like, no, it's like some people's dreams, other people's nightmares sometimes.
Right.
It's like, you know, there's the ebb and flows of every career choice and opportunity you have. So it's just, you know, how far you want to take it and how long you want to either pursue something is on you, you know, really.
So the next question that I've got for you is my two oldest boys, my 24-year-old, 25-year-old, and my 18-year-old now. And just tell me if you went through this. I had an agreement with them when my oldest one was real serious into baseball. I coached him all the way up until Little League because he wouldn't listen to me anymore. But we had an agreement. And the agreement was no girls. Don't focus on girl. If you're really serious about baseball, just wait till you're done because you don't need the distractions. Do you have girlfriends and stuff, or were you disciplined enough? Or
I mean, shoot, when I tell people all the time, I mean, Brittany was there. Like I was more so focused on sports. I mean, there was people obviously at that age around our group of friends. Like I was pretty serious. Like you didn't see me on the weekends. I was at doubleheaders. I wasn't sneaking out of houses. Because I was that age group that you could really be last part to get away with it. Because now there's cameras and cops and everything everywhere. You can't be sneaking out like you could back in those days. I mean, that was like a thing. TPing people's houses. I mean, that was like a rare occurrence in my life. But no, just I was. My parents had a pretty good grip on me, and I listened to them pretty well. I don't know. I was just really just focused on sports. All I cared about was getting on the honor roll, and it was understood. Like I always thought it was just like embarrassing if a girl kind of liked me. Like so I'd like treat them bad, like you get away from me. But that kind of backfired, I guess, socially in some regards at that point. But at the same time, it's like you're such a young kid navigating life at that time, But sports was everything to me. I mean, there were so many teams, like the Fab Five had me obsessed. It was like a Michigan Notre Dame war at the Buck Center, my junior high years of who started, what you were wearing. It was so funny. But, girls just weren't a big issue really at all when it came to sports. Like I was so, like I said, just laser focused on what I wanted to do. I saw everyone around me doing certain things, and you saw the results in certain areas in life, and you're just like, if that's where your focus is, have fun with that. This is where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I'm sorry I can't sleep over, do this, do that. Like I got a tournament tomorrow. I got to pitch a doubleheader and win a pretty big game. At 12, 13 years old, already thinking like that. Visualizing the night before I want to do, planning my whole just seeing success in my head. Like seriously, I would just lay there. I'd watch Hoosiers before big games, or just with my old man. Just
get your mindset right.
That's how it was in my house, and I'm forever thankful for that because my dad used to hype me up so big, but at a certain age, I would just kind of get, I don't know, just quiet myself about it. But I'd have a whole scenario going on in my head what I was about to do tomorrow. That's for sure.
Man, at that age, that's impressive.
No, for real.
I mean,
we literally traveled the Midwest and bullied travel ball teams, pretty good, and because it was kind of like an eye opener because we had like a little major league team when I was like 12, 13, 14 years old up north with that Oak Forest Renegade team. Like we destroyed kids. It was embarrassing. I mean, because that's at that age, I was already throwing like 84 to 90. And I was 14.
Now, did your dad coach you at all throughout your?
I mean, he put his influence in here. He let other guys, he stepped back a little bit because he has other obligations coaching. But, I mean, obviously the other coaches wanted my dad around. He was a very, very smart, high baseball IQ guy.
Okay.
But, yeah, no, it was funny because once I became like a pro prospect, like my summer between freshman and sophomore year, you started getting to know these scouts around the Chicagoland area and became deeper and deeper until I got to my senior year because it would start as like the Bird Dog Scout. The guy in that area just kind of introduced himself, giving my parents a card. Then, I started doing more things. All of a sudden, now scouting directors are coming in. Now national cross-checkers are coming in. Now people are coming into your house. People are trying to arrange, little one-on-ones with your family on school nights. Starting, while your junior year, agents, every agent in the country coming after you, doing the same thing. Having to have these scouts come to your house on school nights and say, hey, Mike and Mary Kay, you're going to stay out here. We're going to take Christy in the room and ask them some questions. And I'm just all bright-eyed. I don't even know what's going on. And you're getting grilled back there. You know what I'm saying? Thank God they raised me as good as they did because there's some of them questions, they look for character issues. I don't know if you've seen that movie with Kevin Costner where they talk about the NFL draft and how deep these teams will go and search and try to dig dirt up on you and just try to figure out who you are and what makes you tick.
Right.
I mean, it was intense. I had to do it with every team. Like, they'd come in and give you personality tests, and just answer, they'd look at you and just say, how would you handle this? Or what would you do here? And they're like, and you, as a 17-year-old kid, you're just worried about the next day, and you got to sit there and be like, I wonder, what's he writing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's he writing? What are they telling? But no, and like, they would literally, it's not like they were like brash or rude about it, but they'd always be like, because, I had a girlfriend in high school my senior year when I was really about to do what I did. And she was very supportive and there at all the games. And everyone at the school knew who was dating. She was a captain of the cheerleading team and stuff. And, she came from a baseball family. And it's like my assistant coach chewed out the, like, Joliet Herald, sports editor. We had just won, like, the biggest game of the year that year. And I threw, like, a one-hit shutout. And there was thousands of fans there that day. And it was just crazy bonkers. And the front page of the paper, they put a picture of me and my girlfriend hugging. And it was like, and it was like we were appalled. Like we were just like, are you serious? Like they, out of all, like, because there was hundreds of scouts there that day. That was my senior year, and this other guy I pitched against, his name was Kris. He got picked in the 5th round there out of Lockport. So there was GMs there that day. I think Kenny Williams might have been on there that day. It was interesting, but yeah, they usually say, stay away from girls. Like I'm not going to go into what they say ruins careers, but that was one of them.
Right, I got
it. Injuries and that. So they're like, steer clear, leave her, get rid of her. Not like in a rude way, but they just be like, focus on baseball, kid.
Right.
Like
we're investing money in you. Let's go. From beginning to end, what's your sweetest memory?
Probably just that day I got drafted. It was so crazy. It was so surreal. It's like people, I didn't even shed a tear. Like I cry more about it. Like in my sometimes I think back. I've had moments where you just kind of think back and just get emotional about it. But it's just like when that day happened. Like it's just I didn't know what to. I don't even know how to explain it because it was all such a preparation. I started so young, and there were so many different people involved in it. And there were so many different highs and lows and. Should he go to college? Should he sign? And I just knew in my heart from such a young age that it was going to happen because me and my dad, we liked it. I liked it. He knew how to pump me up. He knew how to keep me going. And it's like you got a certain point you have to keep me going. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
right.
just I couldn't wait to show off my next move and my next trick and how I'm progressing under his watch. But then at a certain age he obviously let me fly and get around to other people because that's what he did. He got me around to other people by the time I was 12. We were driving up twice a week up to Tinley Park to see a pitching guy and a hitting guy, that both, influenced my career greatly and so many others in the south side of Chicago, and that's what was pretty cool about it because it's like the guy I was working with, his name is Bob Gillen. He was a pitching coach at Andrew High School when I was at Providence, and people hated that. Like our coaches, because I'd give him credit in the paper, like, where'd you learn these mechanics and how do you, and I'd be like, and scouts would actually be like, hey, man, you kind of got to start giving your coaches credit. I'm like, well, they're not teaching me nothing. I'm like, I learned everything from him. Why would I slight him? I mean, it's to his credit. I mean, yeah, these guys are my coaches, but I'm not trying to be rude. You're asking me a question from the media, who do you work with? Well, that's who I work with. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang.
So let me ask you a question on that. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine.
But one of the things that I went through, and I didn't even have this wrote down. So let's just say you're in high school. And you've got a pitching coach on the side or someone that's helping you with your mechanics. Which I had this problem with Jordan where he was getting pitching and hitting lessons. Then you go to play high school ball and they want to start making adjustments to what you're doing. Did you ever run into that too, where you got to say, hey, we're not adjusting this or we're not?
Yeah, everyone kind of runs into that throughout their career, especially if you play junior high and beyond. It's called community advice. You got to pick a few things. First of all, you have to know your own self. Like, you have to know what you like. And if you're not expressing that to people what you want to hear as far as input from, that's on the kid. And they need to learn how to be assertive and let people know, like, hey, let's not make this about you, the coach, or anybody else's idea or philosophy. This is what I like to do. This is who I want. If this is a problem, But it's just, you got to learn how to, especially with the, parent-coach thing, as long as there's common ground with, hey, we're working with them on this, hey, we're working on that, we think this or suggest that, instead of telling you, that's a major communication factor right there with that. You know
right.
what I'm saying? Like, you can't just come in and just sort of say, I'm going to do this and he needs to do that. Let's meet in the middle here and talk, so. All
right. Now, tell me about some cool guys that you actually faced when you were pitching.
Well, I could start with the first home run I ever gave up in my high school career. I was a sophomore. I was already throwing, I don't know, anywhere from 88 to 91, 92. And I had just kind of started emerging, at Providence Catholic, because we had a really good team my sophomore and junior year. My junior year, we were 7th in the country. But we didn't even make it to state. That's what's nutty. But no, so the first home run I gave up was to Curtis Granderson. He was a senior at TF South. He was a senior, and he wasn't very big. He was standing in the box, pretty much the same stance I've seen on TV. And I literally just let a 90-mile-an-hour fastball just rip right down the middle, and he smacked it. And so that was the first home run I gave up in high school. But no, I ended up facing Ryan Howard, Jose Bautista, Yachty, Rick Ankiel, David Wright. I can go
holy cow
a little bit deeper into to a few more names. Don't worry about with that. But no, I mean, shoot, my first big league spring training, I was 19. You know, like not many kids get to go because I got put in my contract. I went from throwing BP to my high school teammates to like the next spring, or actually my first spring training, I'm in the big league locker room. Like not many kids get to be 19 years old out of high school go to a big league camp.
Right.
You know, and I'm sitting there throwing against Carlos Lee, Ray Durham, Frank Thomas, Carl Everett, because it was that year in 01. You know, Jose Valentin, Joe Creedy was up there. You know, and I'm facing all these dudes, and it was just so surreal because I mean, I had three posters in my room growing up: Michael Jordan, Frank Thomas, and Bo Jackson. You know, and Bo was kind of like a confidant for the organization at that time, so he'd float around spring training, you know, talking his smack to everybody, you know, and you know, he kind of joked with me pretty good my first year. He actually stole my Escalade out of the security guarded parking lot and parked it like miles away on top of A Mountain in Tucson. And I was freaking out. I was like running around like, where's my? And he told me to chill out. And he actually ended up taking me out to lunch, you know, for it the next, you know, day. Had a little sit down with Bo. That was pretty cool. But yeah,
dude, that'd be cool as hell. Bo Jackson.
Yeah, he dove into my locker and stole my Escalade keys and tried telling me I parked in someone's parking spot. That wasn't mine. That was, you know, someone else's spot on a team worth way more millions than me. You know, let me know my place on this hold'em pool that year. You know, looking like a Backstreet Boy. That's what they called me. They called me NSYNC because they thought I looked like a Backstreet Boy. NSYNC. Pulling up in an Escalade on 24s. It was great. They're like, who are you? But then I got out there on the mound. It was funny. Frank threw his bat. The first pitch I ever threw Frank Thomas, I shattered his bat. He was pissed because I came out gunning. Like, you know, most guys you know usually ease into it. You know, like they'll give him, you know, a little four seam love right down the plate. You know, nice and easy, 80%. Like I came out just smoking, and I shattered his bat, and he threw. He's like, I'm not gonna say what he said. He's like it's first day. You know, like I'm just out there like, I'm like, whoa, okay, Frank, okay. You know, he's like, nah, he's like, he came up to me later and made it cool, but I was freaking out at first because I was a big man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm tall, 6'5". At that time, I was about 185 pounds. I'm 220 now, but Frank was seriously like a large man. But it was interesting because he was kind of like he was like on Beetlejuice, you know, they spray like he had a huge body, but like his head was like a peanut head. Like he had like a 6 7/8 or something, but his body was like the size of his table.
You're gonna throw a hat size out for the size of his head.
Like, dang, I was like, he ain't on steroids. Shoot. Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
for real. But no, that first spring training was really special to me because I mean I literally got to face Frank Thomas. You know what I'm saying? It was so surreal. And then, you know, going into the minor leagues, that's where I started facing all these guys. You know, you saw in Baseball America, you know, because they called me like a Baseball America baby because I was always in it. You know, it was like the premier, you know, whatever publication in the baseball world at that time. That was everything. That was like the USA Today for baseball, you know. And, you know, I faced Robinson Cano, like I said, David Wright, Ryan Howard. I think I struck out Ryan Howard like 50 times our first pro season. Jose Bautista was 0 for the century against me. I struck out Yachty 3 times in our first game, or my first start in rookie ball when I was 19 in Bristol, Virginia, and he was on the what were they on? It's gonna drive me nuts now. But no, he was on the Cardinals rookie ball team that year. He was because that was when Rick Ankiel was going through his thing with the yips, and he was down there reading books down the right field line. And Yachty was his rookie year, was 01. You know, it was right when Ankiel started trying to do his comeback as a hitter, and he's doing. You know, all his mental work down there in the bushes, so no one would be there putting pressure on him. And yeah, no, I mean Yachty, I'll always remember that. I faced him 3 times. I punched out 12 that night. That was my second pro start in pro baseball. And I threw 6 innings, 12 strikeouts, no walks.
Wow.
Rick Ankiel was in that lineup, and so was Yachty. It was crazy.
I just had something in my head that I was going to ask you, and I just it just slipped my mind. Where's your favorite place to pitch?
Honestly, I've always said anywhere, and I always say any chance you can pitch. I've never had like a favorite place, to be honest, to say this is my favorite place to pitch because anywhere you get to pitch is like a chance to just do something crazy. And if I had to say my favorite place to pitch, it was just because of the atmosphere. I liked kind of pitching in the south because the air was a little bit heavier. The ball didn't travel as much, and your curveball when you spun it broke more. Because out in Arizona, and because I learned real quick pitching out west, because I only played the Midwest growing up. You know, it was kind of humid around here. It wasn't dry heat. It wasn't no thin air.
Right.
But when you started going out west, that ball just, you know, you jam somebody around their fist, and the thing would just go, shh, and you're just looking, I'm like, okay, it's up. You know, you're looking like a dummy out there pointing up like it's a pop fly, and all of a sudden it's sailing. And you got to hear the gum start bumping from the dugout, like, yeah, it's gone, dude. You know, just stupid stuff. But no, I like pitching in the South because your hand was a little tackier. That's why you see guys go in the rosin bag and always licking their finger because the balls are making the ball so slick. They're putting, like, I mean, they put some weird Mississippi mud type stuff they've been doing for ages on the ball. And that's why you see, because pitchers just want more grip. You know what I'm saying? Because the balls are so, it's just like, you don't want the balls just out of your hands. You want a little grip so you can rip those laces.
Right.
But, yeah, I love pitching Birmingham, Alabama. I was there for a couple years with the White Sox, and that was really cool. And that's kind of how I got to bond with Michael Jordan, to be honest, because Darryl Boston, who I told you I'm still in touch with, he's the first base coach of the White Sox. He came up with Michael in the mid-'80s, and this is what I learned, you know, hanging out with them, because they were basically like the two African-American, like, up-and-coming rookie stars, because he came up with Harold Baines. It was Debo, Harold Baines, and then the Bulls had Michael Jordan coming up, so they were kind of like out in the city, and they're still to stay best friends. And I happened to be driving out to Arizona one spring. I was 22, and I was with my childhood, you know, good buddy, and we didn't have cell phones back then, really. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like 2004, 5, you know? And I hopped in. I told my buddy, I go, hey, if you drive out there with me, I'll pay for your flight back. And it was a kid named Brian Oswald at the time. We drove all the way down to Arizona, okay? And his dad was obsessed with Jordan. I was obsessed with Jordan. Everyone was obsessed with Jordan, okay? But at the time, we didn't know what we were driving to Arizona for yet. We thought we were just driving to Arizona. For me to go to spring training, he just wanted to go on a road trip. We were like 22, okay? And I kind of lost touch with him over the high school years. I didn't go to high school down here. So this is like one of our first kind of reintroductions to hang out, because we used to be together all day, every day when we were young. And we get to Arizona. It's like, because we took like 4 days. We took 4 days to get there. Like, we went to the Grand Canyon. We stopped in Albuquerque. We made a couple stops, and then we finally got into Arizona late. I can't remember what. It was like 2 weeks before camp even started. I actually was heading down there for like a pre-spring training thing, and so we get closer to Phoenix, because I'd always stop in Phoenix before I'd stop down in Tucson, because I got to know people who lived in the Phoenix area. You know, you just make your stops, whatever. And I get a phone call, or actually, he had messaged me like a few weeks before, when you coming down. It was Daryl, you know, Debo. And I called him. It was probably like 10:30 at night. We're pulling in. I'm kind of tired. You know, we're driving. And I texted him. I was like, I'm pulling into AZ. And he goes, come to this club in Phoenix. And he's like, MJ's here. And I'm like, I looked at my buddy. I go, at the time, because the cell phones just came out, all you could do was just, and I had OnStar. I always used to love, and probably I was the first kid to have OnStar in this county. Like, I'd be driving around OnStar and people just being weird. But no, anyways, so like, I'm thinking, I'm not even processing yet what's about to happen in the next like hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm bright-eyed Bush. I just drove across country for the first time with my one of my childhood best friends. And he's like, MJ's here, because Brian doesn't know the pro world yet. That was like my second, third spring training, so I had that life out there that people back here just really had no clue. I almost lived like quadruple lives at that point, you know. And it was not in a bad way. It was just who you are within an organization, who you are back home, who you are where you're playing. I mean, it's just you're like a chameleon. But it's just like I got a hotel room, and I go, I know this area pretty well, bro. I was like, we're not far from here. I was like, let's go. And at that time, I had a player's card, because every spring training you get a player's card. And you have
player's card. I need a player's card, man.
Because we'd have security meetings every spring, and they took that stuff serious. Major League Baseball takes that stuff serious, because people are stalkers fans, like the movie The Fan. There's some weird things going on with pro athletes out there on the road, and they really do dive into that security thing seriously. Like, it's like an hour or two meeting for like 2 weeks, like before you leave for the season or wherever you go to play, especially for the younger rookie ball kids that are just out of high school, you know, dudes that come from Latin countries that don't know how to act in public because they don't know no better. Right. You know, you have to get people in line and in tune with what's around you when you're traveling. You know, the last thing you go is tell people, go to a bar and tell people, oh yeah, I play for so-and-so. No, that's how you're going to get trapped, and that's how you're going to get in situations you don't want to be in. And that's how you lose your career, basically. So like, you really had to stay on track with that. But yeah, it was wild. That's for sure.
Real quick, and we'll maybe just take, if it even takes 5 minutes, I just got to ask you real quick. What is your take on the new Major League Baseball rules as far as the time clock, pitch clock, and everything. Do you have a personal opinion on it?
I think it's kind of getting a little ridiculous just because everyone's trying to come up with some new little way to change a game that was already still pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it drags. Yeah, that's everything in this world right now. Everything could be more efficient. Everything could be more, but like that really speeds up the heart rate then. That speeds up the thought process. That speeds up your rhythm and your pattern, what you've been doing your whole career now just because someone else wants to shorten up a time slot. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're asking the best of the athletes in the world that have been putting their body through rhythms like for so long and how their tempo thing actually is what's putting on a show right now. You're trying to dictate that.
Right.
It's tough because some guys can't perform all jacked up and revved up and in a hurry. Some guys need to take a deep breath, slow it down. I was kind of like a laid back pitcher. I mean, I got intense when I needed to, but you couldn't tell if I was getting pushed in or if I was pushing out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't know. I just think there's good things happening with it. Like I don't like the shift. I'm so glad they're getting rid of the shift. I think that's stupid.
Right.
I think it's ignorant. I think it's unfair. It's like if you're going to have a hissy fit about pitchers having pine tar in their hands to make an advantage on the ball, so why do hitters get pine tar on their bat then?
Right.
It's kind of it's ignorant to me, and I don't know why they keep trying. It's like in the bigger base, that's kind of cool, I guess, because it keeps the first baseman a little bit farther away from the runner as he's running through the bag. I do like that, and I think you'll see people stealing bases a little bit more because it'll be a little bit closer because the extra inch in baseball is everything.
Right.
I mean, people are out just by the extra inch,
Right.
That's what they went over on MLB Network not too long ago. I seen, and it made a lot of sense. But the whole speeding the pitcher thing up, I don't know. It's tough with that,
Right.
Because I was methodical. I liked almost putting people to sleep. Not like in a look at me thing. It's all about me out here. No, but you are going to go at my pace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to rush me. You're not going to, and the only thing it didn't bother me when people were saying timeout, let me dig in. That let me gather myself more. I was like, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead. Give me more time to sit here and wait for you to get ready because you're obviously thinking about it way more than I am right now. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't take you 5 seconds to get in the box and ask for time. Like if you're not mentally and physically prepared to get in the box right when you get in it, why do I have to stand here like this? Because you're obviously not ready. I don't know. That's just how I saw it.
No, I thought I asked you this. What actually was going through your head when you pitched for the most part? Like what was your mental, whether it was mental toughness or how you prepared yourself for the game or even during the game?
I honestly, like I said, you heard me say earlier, like I always knew once I got to a certain age, I knew what I was doing with the ball in my hand, and it was almost unfair. Like my biggest battle my whole life was like going around telling people how much I knew about how I could control baseball and like what I could do with it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was like figuring something out that you don't know a single soul, no grown man, not no one you've ever been around. No one is able to tell you what you're doing. Because I didn't even know what I was doing, but I just could do it. I could roll up and just do it. I mean, it didn't matter. Like I'd go I figured out how to make my body move, the mental state of mind I had to be in without even really being able to explain it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to a Zen type focus. Like I always kind of compared to like I didn't have the best like study skills growing up in class, but I always got A's and B's. I was always honor roll student. I wasn't the greatest like attentive. Like I go home and I'm studying for 5 hours a night, but like I knew when it was time to focus and remember stuff, I literally had that like
turn it on,
like,
turn it off.
It was just I knew how to see things, remember them, like bring them to life, make it happen type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't have to study that hard, and I'd still pull A's and B's. You know what I'm saying? Like I would just be able to lock in at certain times when the pressure's on at a very young age. Because classroom was stress at home even more so than sports were. With my parents. So it was just like that was our thing, and that kind of translated a lot into like my career as far as it goes with the baseball in my hand, just knowing, having a plan, going out there, how to adjust when stuff's not going your way, what to do about it, because you just have to compartmentalize so many things, because that's what's tough about working with young kids and even adults sometimes, because your problems change over the years. Your state of mind changes over the years, and what your worries are and what your anxieties are when you're out there having to perform in a public eye, because it starts young. You're having, hey, can so-and-so please get up and give a speech to the class and read this out loud? And there's certain people that just breeze through it. Other people, they get locked up. Same in sports. Same with, like I said, just athletics when, there's competition, there's a crowd, there's things at stake. You have to learn how to navigate through that and really stay focused on the task at hand. Where like there's just so many distractions these days, and I'm so glad I didn't have to go through this phase that these kids do now with the whole comparing who's doing what, who's wearing what clothes, or like what do they do, where are they at, like what it's just there's a lot to look at and take in, and I just always want kids to just seriously focus on them. Stop looking left and right. Stop looking behind you. Like stay in front. Like everything's out in front of you. You just have to stop looking side to side so much, because people are constantly coming in and out of, okay, I'm focused this day. I'm not, okay, I had an off day this day. It's like, no, you got to be focused every day some way, a lot, a lot, because that's what makes people Hall of Famers, great, good, average, just how you should be. It's wild.
Yep. So what advice do you have for kids nowadays, whether it's somebody that's a 9-year-old or an 18-year-old?
Just to be them, figure out their passions, figure out what they want to do. Are they serious about it? Are they pretending to be just because their best friend is, doing something? Just stay busy. It's just, you got to stay, somewhat on a path of like pursuing your passions and, staying fit, staying active, being around people that have similar goals, similar, actions in their daily habits that you want to, be like, and just, and a lot of that starts at home with parents, and then it translates to their, kids. It takes a community, when people are put around, what people are seeing, hearing about, influenced by. I mean, it goes on and on. I'm so fortunate. Like I said earlier, at the time I grew up, we were outside all the time. We were playing. We were in driveways, having dunk contests for girls, even though it was silly and stupid. We're out there playing home run derby till the sun comes up. We're riding our bikes down to Indian caves. We're sitting there riding around miles and miles, just going to different kids' neighborhoods that pick up 3-on-3 games at someone else's neighborhood, like buddies that we know from their school. Like that's just what we're doing.
Times have changed, man.
And now it's just everyone's scared to let their kid leave their homes, be around certain people because they're scared the world's going to end every day. It's like there's still a lot of our country still left where it should be allowed to be like that, but unfortunately there's just so much terrible things happening right now that we have to be worried about our kids out there just without our eyes on them. I've got a 4-year-old daughter now, so I'm like, man, I'm always in gorilla mode and like warhawk eagle mode every time I wake up every day. I'm like, it's getting serious out here. So all
right, tell me about what you're doing now at the Armory. What's going on over there that you got going on?
Yeah, man, I've always had this envisioned in my head for so long. I just didn't really have the motivation or just really kind of idea of what I wanted to do with it yet or where, because there wasn't much space around here to do it after the House of Sports, got bought out, and there's really not many places and buildings and facilities to access around here, and there's some things happening around this county that are actually starting to come about. Like, I mean, there's a place in Mantino that's being built as we speak. It's a dome. I can't really say much about the details yet, but that is happening, and it's going to be turfed. Me doing this spot over there at Gold Star Gym, Dave Gerard runs that place. Thankful for him to let me go over there and, basically just do what I think is going to be my funnest chapter in my, story so far in my 40 years. Just turned 40, hats off to me. Big shout to 40. That was a tough age to swallow, but no, we're here now. Been through a lot, and I just want to just show people, inform people, from my own experience, from my own family's experience, what it takes to create success for a young man if they have goals and aspirations of doing things that they've envisioned or seen others do that they want to aspire to be. This isn't like a big mecca city, populous, very kind of, in the lower brackets, but I mean, it don't matter. There's several people I know like myself that come from areas like this or smaller towns. It don't matter. Like there's people here that will help you, understand and get to where you want to go and take this as far as you want to take it. And that's why I just tell parents, I can't tell your kid's going to be a big leaguer. I can't say they're going to be the best baseball player ever, but as long as they just get better and feel good about themselves, put themselves around other kids, around other schools around here, just creating fun competition within this little training facility where you literally have access to every single athletic type of thing you want to do. And everyone there is like-minded. Everyone there is goal-oriented. And, Dave runs a really cool operation over there. I mean, it's basically an athlete's playland. And I just hope we can get as many kids to come in there and put their trust in me to make them better and just achieve things that they see on TV, people celebrating, having fun, just feeling that idea of success and, wow, like I'm progressing. Because it's really fun. I mean, sports get so fun. I was fortunate enough, I was naturally gifted with athleticism and got given this freakishly tall athletic body to utilize. And it's fun when you figure it out, or once you figure it out, because in baseball, it doesn't matter what size you are. It's just advantages for me to be long and lanky, because it just shortens the distance between plate and, the mound.
Right.
But baseball is a sport. It does not matter what size you are. If you have the movements down that come from years and years and years and hours and just behind the scenes effort, work, reps being put in to like just get better. Because it's all like baseball, and it's like you're never done learning. Right. At every age you get older and your body ages, you have to figure out ways to be successful with what you have, and some kids mature early and they're the best in T-ball and Little League. Well, all of a sudden those kids are late bloomers that really were discouraged and wanted to quit and give up. All of a sudden they hit a growth spurt, and all of a sudden they're the man. It goes on and on and on. Baseball is a beautiful game. It's fun. And, starting that page on my Facebook was big for me because, this is my first go at this journey. I think it's going to be one of the best chapters of my life, just helping kids, educating parents what they need to do, year-round arm care, just what they need to do to strengthen their arms, make sure they know what they're doing. Because baseball's a lonely, lonely sport out there in that field. You can't call timeout. You can't keep saying, hey, come get me. Make up reasons why you come, then you're doing the wrong sport, because it literally can be so fun, or it can be just your nightmare, because it can snowball quick if you're not throwing the ball to bases, if you're striking out, if you're not even close to a ball fielding it. You get hit in the face with a fly ball when everybody else is catching it. It's embarrassing, and it literally cripples some kids, and that's not fun, and that's not cool. But unfortunately, there's just not enough people teaching enough or really focusing as much as I'm going to be focusing on this stuff here, because I'm telling you, it's going to be so fun. I love it. Like, this is what I want to do, and I think, if everything goes how it should, I just want to create an environment where people are like, you got to go see this dude. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. I got people coming down from Will County already. I got people coming from Indiana. I don't want this to just be like a little local project. We'll see where it goes, but, I just want to help kids.
So what would, as far as the pitching mentality, because we know from the travel ball experience, both the boys pitched, but what do you teach if somebody comes and sees you? Do you have a section where you teach like mental toughness and body language? Because we would know once his body language, we knew we could look at the coach and be like, you can go get him now.
Well, that's all covered with, my lessons. It's not like you just come in for my lessons and you're throwing for 30 minutes. I'm just catching you on a bucket. No, like it at certain points, it's going to become a skull session, because you have to know what you're, that's what my job is to teach you what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how to fix it. Because that's what pitching is. After you release that ball, it's over, it's done. You got to either repeat what you just did because you just did it right, or you better figure out real quick what you just did wrong and why the ball's over the backstop and why it's not blowing away at the knees within a pitch or two. That's professionally, or that's just in general, because you see kids not taught how to throw strikes properly, and repeated mechanics throw strikes. If you can't repeat your mechanics, if you can't throw 8 fastballs out of 10 to one spot, you shouldn't be thinking about throwing another pitch or learning another pitch, because you don't even know how to command your fastball yet. Right. And everything works out the fastball. So that's why I always shut down kids that want to come in and talk about, I got this great curveball. I'm like, all right, well, show me your fastball. Yeah, 10 times right here, and then we'll think about it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. That makes total sense. And I always ask these kids, I'm like, what do you think the best pitch in baseball is? And it's so funny, responsible viewers like, fastball, curveball, knuckleball. I'm like, hey, buddy, it's strike one. The best and most important pitch in baseball is strike one, buddy. Don't let that ever leave your mind, because strike one is the best pitch.
I ain't never heard that before.
It's the odds, man. Gotta get the number. You gotta get ahead. Next most important pitch is the 1-1 count. You either go 2-1 or you go 1-2. Go strike one, getting ahead, or winning the next count, the 1-1 count. The numbers drop drastically or they rise drastically. Little fact. Little nugget.
Little fun fact.
Little nugget.
How does someone get a hold of you in order to set up a pitching lesson, do you know what the address is?
Well, yeah, I started a Facebook page. And it's public. And it's called the Armory. It's ARMORY. And if you go there, you'll find my cell phone number on there. You can reach me anytime. Leave a voicemail, text. Obviously, letting me know that's what you're interested in, what you're thinking about doing. I'm free to open discussion about it. I have an email, a business email. It's the Armory 815@gmail.com. And then you can also just message me on Facebook.
We'll make sure we'll post those links on the bottom when we publish it on the YouTube and all the other channels. So all your information will be on there.
Cool.
Any parting words or anything else you want to add?
No, just thanks for having me. It's always fun to talk this stuff, and just hope everything keeps going smooth over at the Armory. It's I've been trying to do that for a while now, and it's finally kind of happening. So it's pretty exciting, and just gives me something to do and stay young. Very, very excited about that. Get back in shape because like I said, I should have done this so long ago, but I was just kind of distracted with life, career decisions, and seeing where I wanted to be and what I want to do, where I want to be at. Do I want to stay around here? And I couldn't be happy about it because honestly, that place is really, really awesome. Like
it looks really nice.
If they'd have had that when I was like young, I'd have been there every day.
Right.
The only thing they're missing there is a basketball hoop, but the ceilings aren't that high. So, but yeah, no, it's really cool. I really hope to see the community kind of, maybe, really dive in with it because I think it'd be cool there, and good weather's coming, season's upon us, so hopefully people are excited. So
it's awesome, man.
Appreciate you having me on.
Hey, I appreciate you coming, buddy. Once again, that's Kris Honel on Long Talk's video podcast, and look down below at the bottom of this page, and you'll see links to hook up with Kris and get in over at the Armory. So thanks again, Kris. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, buddy.